What's up, everybody? Welcome to U-Rock Guitars. My name is Scott, otherwise known as SVH. Done a little recording and touring here and there, so I play around with one of these, and I'm going to show you a little bit today about what you can do with it with recording software, which is really mainly how I use it mostly. Just to kind of start off and tell you a little bit, if you've never seen the U-Rock guitar before, it's very unique, very different. As you can see, aesthetically, it's very unique. It really does so many different functions that it's really a multi creative inspirational tool is how I like to look at it, a little bit more than a guitar. So it's obviously it's shaped different than a traditional guitar. It's going to play a little different. Got a touch sensitive neck here, and essentially when this was designed, it was to serve a lot of different purposes. It is a guitar synth, so it has synthesizer sounds built in, guitar sounds built in, so you have all these different presets that you can work with. And then it also has MIDI capability, so you can take it just by USB, hook it up to your computer, hook it up to any recording software, and trigger VSTs and plugins and all that stuff. What really drew me and attracted me to this was the fact that I do a lot of world music, world influence music. I have a killer band called Heldt with this guy right here, and we do a lot of world inspired music, and that stuff it's really hard to articulate flutes and stringed instruments and things like that on a keyboard. And you're sitting here and you're playing a little flute part and trying to get it all breathy, and you're using a little pitch wheel and stuff, and it works, but it's not the best, especially for a guitar player if you're not really used to plunking on keys too. So this, being a stringed instrument player, I was able to pick this up and articulate flute parts and do the little breathy stuff with the pitch bar and things like that. Same with violins and cellos and all those stringed instruments. You can play chords, and get these nice big lush strings. There's all these different things you can do. Okay, so basically I've got a really raw drum and guitar recording. This was done in a studio a few weeks ago. Everything was properly mic'd for the drums and all that, and used a really nice guitar cabinet and all that stuff, and just did basic raw tracks. So here you can kind of hear all the supplemental instruments that have been added in, and this is all done on the U-Rock guitar with sounds built into the program. So got a little string section here, strings just doing chords, pianos are all just arpeggios. I got a little line here that's kind of like a bass line, and this was done out of the 1/4 inch output. And then what I did was added a plug-in on the back end of a bass amp. So basically this is like a modeling bass amp. I can change the cabinets, I can change the microphone, all that kind of stuff, the different type of amp. Got all these stomp boxes that I can add. So if I want to get that bass tone and really want to add more drive to it, or edge, or a little gain, get a little distortion, you got all that ability on the back end to change it. So it takes a simple sound that's just a raw guitar sound and gives you really limitless possibilities once you've got it in a recording software. So that's a really cool thing that you can do with this. Once you've got all that done and you've recorded your parts too, sometimes you have to approach playing this a little differently. Obviously, if you're going to be playing a flute part or a violin, it's not gonna react the same as a guitar. A flute is different, and it takes a different kind of finessing and that type of thing to play it and get that kind of essence. And so you have to reapproach your way of playing guitar, which is really cool. It expands your creativity, it expands your abilities. There's a tapping mode on here. When you push tapping mode, it really opens up all kinds of possibilities. You put this on a piano and start doing tapping, it's like, wow, I can play piano. It really just opens up a whole new ability for a guitar player. And yeah, again, like all the sounds and everything that are built into your recording software. Now you can use this with Pro Tools, you can use it with Logic, Ableton, Reason, pretty much any MIDI controllable software. VSTs are virtual instruments, they're plugins and things like that. So just like I did with the amp, I added the little extra part there. Another really cool thing that I was going to show you that's kind of cool. Now I use Studio One by Presonus. It's a program I really like. It's very intuitive, and let Let me get the little mix window open here. Okay, so I did a little string part or this bass line, and say I don't like I missed a note, or I double triggered something, or I want to change one little part, I want to add an extra note, and I think it would sound good. Instead of having to go back and re-record the whole piece over again, because you've done it in MIDI, it's not like a waveform that shows up on the screen like an audio recording. It's little dots and bars. So you actually have little movable, MIDI information that you can move. So say I don't like this bass part here, I want to move it. I want to add a couple here. You can do that, little bass pings. And now it's going to sound totally ridiculous. So yeah, anyway, you can go in and really alter each part by using the MIDI capability of it. So that's another really cool thing about this, is it saves a lot of time in editing and things like that. With keys and things like that, you kind of have to know the chords on the keyboard in order to really like play the full chord. Or you got to record these two parts and then go back and add the other note in. I've done that before. So with the guitar, if you know your chords, you just hit the full chord and play it, and you got it. If you want to add other voicings to it, it's real simple to do, in a program like this. So that's another really cool thing about it. Putting it in here, you could change pretty much everything, pitch shifting, all that. So what I'm trying to show you here is that there's a lot of great capability within this instrument itself. You can plug it into your car stereo and jam on the 405 when you're stuck in traffic. I've done that. You can plug your iPod into it, and you can play along with your iPod and jam and learn songs and things like that. It's a great tool for learning. All the sounds that are internally there are really cool. You can take this off and travel with it and make it a travel guitar. Yes, sir.
Can you do a drum solo on it?
You can do a drum solo on it, actually. You actually can. You can put a drum patch in here, and then you can trigger it. It's just like using MIDI pads, same kind of thing.
You have to replace the string?
That's a good question. The strings are replaceable. They're really heavy duty and really don't corrode, so it's not like a corrosive issue that you'd have with normal, guitar strings that corrode over time. But you can get replacement strings for them. Usually they're made to last 500,000 strokes you get out of one set of strings. So that's better than my tires. It is. But yeah, there's, like I said, all these capabilities within the guitar, but really plugging it into a MIDI environment or a MIDI controlled device, you can do so much more with it. So it's a really cool function that you can do. And then, yeah, I mean, it really does a lot to jazz up your parts too. Like I said, we went in a recording studio and recorded these 4 songs for an EP, and spent lots of money to do 10 hours in a studio to get the perfect drum tone and the guitar tone and everything else. But then you can go home and add all the extra parts and not spend hours in the studio, and you can really create and do all these kinds of things, and it's just an amazing way to kind of put it all together. So yeah, and long and short of it, that's really what a DAW would do. Yeah. You want to see me tear it up on here? Well, like I said, I kind of pre-recorded everything, so I mean, I can